The first game this week, Friday night, back in Leichhardt Oval again. If the games are worth watching, you'd be loving being in Sydney like we are at the moment, because all of the rugby is in Sydney, pretty much. Don't think we'll get down to this one either, though, but we'll see. We have the Force and the Rebels. The only thing I'll say before I get Harry to rip into it is, no word on Izzy Naisarani, have we? We haven't had any word on him.
They said something about him targeting round 3 a couple of weeks ago, and then we just haven't heard anything. So if he's re-injured or just not right, I'm not sure. But yeah, they need him.
Do we even know what the injury was? Because I don't know. I just keep saying
it was one of the 55 hamstrings in Australian rugby, I think.
Oh, right, okay. Because he looks fine, mate. In all the training videos, he's running around. It looks just get him on, mate. But
I agree.
Anyway, do you want to start us off on this one?
Yeah, for sure. Look, this is. I think everyone's going to say the Rebels are the favourite here, especially after the Force kind of got knocked around. The big worry for the Force was they started with a lot of passion in Super Rugby AU, and they did themselves really proud in the first couple of weeks. The worry is week after week after week, and these kind of real slugfest really at the moment. I think the defence has been willing, but the skills have been lacking. That they wouldn't be able to back it up. And look, they've brought in a lot of seasoned older players to try and help them with that. But at the moment, I think that they're an opportunity to come off the bottom of the table and push for third, but more likely we're going to see the Rebels kind of solidify their place as a third-ranked team in Super Rugby AU. And, geez, we'll be looking pretty good for our predictions for the start of the season as well, Craigs.
That's it. Do we make the same predictions?
Look, I think we all went Brumbies, and then it was just Rebels or Reds as 2-3.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Kind of falls into line. Waratah's Force, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Maybe I was ambitious and said Waratah's first. Who knows? Anyway, but look, Jermaine Ainsley, if Pone Fa'amausili is injured with the calf as we thought, then Jermaine Ainsley will get another start. Not very exciting, but just, I guess, reasonably solid at set piece for them.
Do you know, I was just going to say, did you know he'd signed for the Highlanders next year? They randomly brought that up, Jermaine Ainsley. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're very good at signing average Australian props, aren't they, over there? So,
True.
One position we can say that.
Well, they got Lomax though. Then he went. Yeah, but he's good now. He's good, Lomax.
Is he? He had one good fantasy round, mate.
But you started talking about. You were saying he might have come good.
Yeah, because he had one good fantasy round. Anyway. DHP, obviously, if he's out injured as well, that's a big backline reshuffle. I think what you'll probably see is Kellaway to 15, Hodge out to the wing, and Campbell Magnay back in at outside centre. I think he was just being rotated and rested. I don't think he was actually injured.
I hope so. I actually thought Hodge looked good back at 15, but I think you're right. I think Kellaway, they'll definitely play Kellaway at 15.
Yeah. I mean, Hodge has just got to stop playing every position in the back line. But
I know.
I mean, we won't go down that rabbit hole either. Ian Pryor, look, he may be back. He said originally he just suffered a stinger in his shoulder, which is just like a hit and traction of the nerves across the front of your shoulder. If that's the case, worst case, you're gone for a week with that one. Like, it's pretty rare that you are gone for a week. Normally you're sweet in 2 or 3 minutes on the field, you know. But he did have to go for scans throughout the week, which makes me think that he actually probably had more of an instability episode, and he might be gone for a while, which would be pretty good for any Nick Frisbee owner in fantasy footy, who, if he can get some minutes, you know, especially against some of the weaker oppositions, could be really quite strong.
That sums up a halfback, doesn't it? If it was a stinger, I mean, Sam Cane had an absolutely awful stinger on the weekend. Still got up and kept playing the rest of the game.
Oh, he's a freak. He's a freak. That he made 2 more tackles within a couple of minutes with a shoulder that looked like it wanted to fall off. But anyway, we'll keep going because we talked about way too much in the entree. Look, there's going to be no crowd, no support really for the Force out at Leichhardt, which is a real shame for them. So I don't think there's going to be any kind of effect for the home ground advantage or anything like that. I thought that the set piece was going to be really important for the Force last week against the Brums, and they did well, but not enough to actually stop the routes that was the game. But you know, they stood up to that challenge. But the Rebels, I think, may even arguably be a step up again. They won 17 of their 17 lineouts last week. Matt Phillip is controlling that very, very well against the Waratahs, who have been probably the form line out before that. And, they pushed the Brumbies scrum around a couple of weeks prior as well. So that could be another big test. And again, I think if the Rebels are going to win this game at all comfortably, they'll dominate possession and they'll dominate field position on the back of their set piece. So I think that will be another big challenge for that front row from the Force.
Yeah.
Having said that, like the Rebels just don't throw a lot of shots, and the Force is pretty shaky. The Force's defense is pretty shaky, so it'll be interesting to see what actually comes from that. But with a pretty high missed tackle count, I think there is opportunity there for your Bill Meeks, Andrew Kellaways, those kind of guys to actually to put a big score up. So maybe not a bad week to trade in a couple of Rebels players. And I know they don't have any more buys for the rest of the season as well. So there is some value in those kind of players this week, I think.
Yep, good shout.
The back row battle, I think, will be probably the Force's best chance to exert some dominance. So I'm not convinced by Josh Kemeny at all. Richie Hardwick played better last week, but I'm still not convinced by him either. And Wells is probably not up to the form that we saw him when he was playing for the Tars either. So they've been pretty weak, I think, in the scheme of things.
I wonder where all these Sevens players are. I remember Boyd Killingsworth, we have him a go, Louis Holland. Like, where are all these blokes?
I don't know. I think it's just hard to crack into.
Gerald Skelton as well.
Yes, yeah. There's guys. They need to give a few of them a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with Issy out, like that's a position gone once he's back. Look, I think Ferris, who we got Stowers and Stunder, this is an area they can dominate. And if they can be the more physical team, they can dominate the tackle area, slow the Rebels' ball down, which is tricky under these new laws. But that's maybe their only chance to really try and exert some dominance. And hopefully that means the Force can get some good ball. John O'Lance can get on the front foot. But more than likely, I think the Rebels' high line speed will not let that happen. And you'll probably see John O'Lance throwing a few intercepts. So, again, Billy Meeks, Andrew Kellaway, there'd probably be some good pickups.
And Matty Tamu will be getting up real quick at John O'Lance's face. He'll be wanting to put some heat on. Yeah.
My guess is a very low-scoring game. Not many fantasy points for anyone.
Except Kellaway or Meeks.
Yes. I mean, you've got to go for someone, don't you?
That's it. Very good. All right. The second game, we have the Chiefs and the Crusaders. Last week, we all said that definitely the Crusaders were going to win, and they did not. This week, I don't care. I'm going to back it again. The Crusaders are definitely going to win.
Harry,
you're on all right, we're on the same page. Returning for this one, Nato Akoi from the concussion, the young second rower. I think they desperately need him back, actually. We don't know if he'll return.
Well, he was going through, it sounded like the later stages of his concussion protocol last week, but I think because it was a pretty line call between Tupai Vai and him, I think it was one of those ones, if he's not 100% fit, they just went with Vai. So, I would say you probably see him back.
Very good. And then Braden Ennor, someone that Harry took a big punt on, made a trade, made some moves for him last week. Just Harry noticed this massive gaping hole in his fantasy team, which was that he had no Crusaders backs. So picked up Braden Ennor. But what do they say? 1 to 2 weeks. I'm sure, Harry, you're reviewing the Braden Ennor news, getting on the phone to him every day. What do we think?
Stepped on the Crusaders lost again. There's no way they're not letting him play.
You reckon?
Well, mate, Fatuli was rubbish.
Oof. Okay. All right. I thought Fatuli was actually not too bad.
Yeah, but you don't know the game.
I don't think Ennor would have been burnt by Hussein the same way that Fatuli was.
Hey, mate. He's the fastest back.
Yeah. But all right. So Harry's praying that Ennor's back. But we will see. I think if he's not, that'll be one of the key matchups, I think, for the Chiefs, apart from Richie Mo'unga against insert 10 here. I think if you're the Chiefs, I think you've got to start Aaron Cruden. I just think that you need someone with a cool head who's going to focus on shutting down Richie Mo'unga and, not worry about too much else, really.
Well, I mean, him and Trask both played 40 minutes last week. So I kind of think if they're going to share their minutes at the moment, they're thinking have Cruden on at the back end of the game in the higher pressure moment as well.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good shout. Well, in that first half, I'd be bloody worried being Gavin Trask. But yeah, so no, that's key matchup number one, the 10s, and the second one I said if there's no Enor, if the Tulipaia is playing out there, that'll be somewhere Anton Leonard-Brown will look to be exploiting. He was back to his best last week, looking real good, ALB. So that might be somewhere they try to punch some holes. I've been talking about what were the Chiefs missing, because if you look at their squad, they're like still absolutely rock solid, but it is just, and I know it sounds obvious now, but it is just really simply just the locks. I think a big part of their forward pack is that their locks were their big ball runners. It's not always the case in every team, but their locks really gave them all the ad line ball. Don't get me wrong, Peter Gus has been playing incredible footy, but they've usually had a few other jacklers with like Boshier, Sam Cane, you know.
It was to the point where Peter Gus wasn't even getting a run because they had other players doing that for them, you know, and he's obviously a very talented player.
So, yeah, I mean, missing the likes of Ritalik, Tyler Ardron, who left, they don't have those dynamic big ball carriers. Don't get me wrong, Boshier and Sam Cane can run the ball well, but just not the same kind of through contact meters. And really sadly, I was just looking up to see what Ritalik's up to these days. He got the call to come back and play for the Chiefs at Super Rugby Aotearoa. I mean, when I say the call, I imagine Warren Gatlin was begging him. But he's apparently just sitting in his house in Hawke's Bay, just chilling because the season in Japan is not going ahead. And he was like, "No, I kind of feel like resting." I was like, "Oh, mate, he's 29 years old, mate. He's in the peak." I was just sitting there being wasted. But anyway. Solomon Amalo, out injured. Who replaces him? I'm guessing Etene Nana Saturo, who we haven't seen on the bench because they've been centre out on the bench. Quinton Pye, the preferred option. But there's
chance to start him. He seems to leapfrog straight into the starting team.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's about.
The options are basically Nana Saturo or Stevenson. I just wanted to throw the random question out there. Where's Kenny Naholo at? They really have nothing to lose anymore. Let's just throw him in there, straight against the Crusaders. No.
What could go wrong?
No, that's it. But I think it'll be Etene Saturo out there to start. And similarly, for the Crusaders, look, I mean, you can never imagine hearing this saying, do they rest players against the Chiefs? But when I say that, could they rest one of George Bridge or Sever Reese and chuck Lester Fainganuku out there, who, to be honest, it's not really changing very much. Fainganuku has been phenomenal. So that's the only kind of possibility I could see. But otherwise...
They've got to manage their players as well. So, you know, it's definitely a very physical game at the moment. It wouldn't surprise me.
Exactly. The Crusaders know they're going to... Well, sorry, I keep saying the finals. There's no finals, so they don't have to rest players for the finals. But for the last few games of the season, they can probably afford to rest someone if they need to. All right, this one, very simple. Yeah, Crusaders to win by a lot. I think even if the Chiefs bring that 20 minutes of footy they played in the first half against the Highlanders, they don't seem to be able to sustain that, and the Crusaders, I think, will just have too much.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can't see it going any other way, to be honest. And as I think you'd written down and hadn't actually mentioned, when the Crusaders lose, you just don't want to be the team that plays them the next week. They're just, you know, whenever they're under pressure, they go up such a massive gear. And I think it's magnified when they actually manage to lose a game. So, yeah, it's going to be scary, I think.
Yeah, I think we forget what the stat is. I was trying to find it, but couldn't find it. That pretty much every time the Crusaders lose a game, they always win the next game. Just
they maul the team.
yeah. So unlucky for the Chiefs. But all right, let's move on. We have the Brumbies and the Reds, a game that I am very much looking forward to. So take us through this one, Harry.
Yeah, me too, to be honest. I think can't wait to see this one. I think two very good sides. The Brumbies have maybe Darcy Swain coming back. We're not really sure why he got taken out of the side, and Nick Frost got parachuted in to start last week. So that'll be a really interesting one if he is fit, just to see what they do with that. Obviously, Darcy Swain led the NRC, the Vikings side, so you'd think that he's got some runs on the board to go straight back to a starting side. But Nick Frost was really, really impressive as well. So it'd be pretty rough to push him straight out of the side, having said that. And obviously big raps on him as a player of the future as well.
I think it's because Darcy Swain got negative fantasy points the week before, so they looked up that and they took him off. That's why.
Fair. Yeah. This is really the battle for the Australian Conference. So the Brums are 3 wins, 0 losses. The Reds are 3 wins and a draw after their comeback against the Rebels. So I think if the Brums can win this one, they'll really push themselves a long way ahead. Whereas if the Reds can win it, then game on. I think it brings them back to the pack, and we could see some real swings and roundabouts in the back half of this competition to see who actually tries to take home the chocolate. So I'm kind of hoping for a Reds win just to keep us all on our toes, so it's not just kind of a foregone conclusion of the Brumbies even playing at 60 or 70% of their capacity, cantering to a championship. But could be very good.
Look at the wordplay there, cantering, fantastic. No, I mean, look, this is unless there's a miracle, this is the finals. This is the finals that will be being played out. So.
Well, the Aussies actually have a final series as well, which is fantastic. So
no, I know. I'm saying, but these will be the 2 teams in the finals, unless something drastic changes. So it's kind of like a precursor.
Yeah, I think the Rebels will have a lot to say, to be honest, but it's a fair call. They're definitely the favourites. Look, it's going to be a big battle up front. The physicality of the Reds taking on what is historically a very good forward pack from the Brumbies that's been maybe a little bit off the pace. The big difference, again, as I mentioned before, was the line-out. I think the Brumbies are looking a lot better than the Reds. Lukan Salakai-Loto is really leading that for the Reds side, but let's be honest, he's now more of a lock/breakaway than he is a guaranteed lock, and there's no other starting locks in their side. I think you'd mentioned you wanted to see a bit of Tualima, one of the second rowers that's been brought into the side, to try and give him a bit more time instead of Angus Scott-Young, who is just not even...
It's not a lock.
Slightest.
Yeah.
But so I'm keen to see that as well. I want to see a lock given a chance. But yeah, I think that could be a big issue for the Reds. And if there's one team that you don't want to give clean line out ball to, it's probably the Brumbies with their rolling maul. So I think that will be a big moment to see how the Reds go trying to stop the rolling maul.
Yeah.
The Reds' discipline's been a huge issue. They keep playing 10, 20 minutes of a game down with yellow cards. I think you said tab odds, their feature bet this week is going to be the Taniela Tupou or Hunter Paisami, who picks up the first yellow card, not just if they pick up a yellow card. So I think that's pretty spot on. I think that will really, really hurt them when one of them goes off. And just their penalty count in general, the Reds have been giving away a lot as well. The Brumbies kick well. They've got long kickers to touch. They kick their goals. I think the Reds are going to have to clean all of that up if they're going to have a chance in this one.
Yeah.
Some good matchups out wide as well. Dalgunu versus Qatar. We were really excited to see Qatar back, although, he didn't probably get as much ball as we wanted. Still a very, very talented player. And Chris F. Sortea in some fantastic form, coming into his first start in a little while last week as well, before the bye, sorry. And Tom Wright in some outrageously good form with his hot step and quick acceleration, good vision. So looking forward to seeing all of those guys hit it out. You obviously got the battle between Slipper and Scott Seo. There was some talk online about James Slipper doing an ankle, which I've listed in the casualty ward, but I'm really not sure about what happened with that. But so you got to think if there's any doubt, Scott Seo will get another run, despite probably not making as big of an impact as, again, he would have hoped last week with the opportunity that he did get. It looks like Slipper's kind of nudged ahead in terms of the first choice prop there.
Yeah, no, the comment I was making on that is I think Slipper is perhaps a little bit better than Seo personally, but the way the Brumbies see it and the way they've seen it over the last year or two that Slipper's been there is they just play one for 3 weeks, the next one for 3 weeks. Like they just take turns. They say even kill, really.
Yeah, fair enough. And backline for the Brums, look, I can't really see any changes. I know Nick White is back training with the squad. So, you'd mentioned Isaac Fines. Maybe he's the smoky to get a start. Personally, I think there's just too much competition between him, Ryan Lonergan, and Nick White. I think Fines is going to really battle to get any sort of game time in this side.
Yeah.
I would like to see Nick White come onto the bench at the very least and start closing out a game, especially if he's going to push for a Wallabies jersey in a few weeks' time. And then you got the Reds back line. I think trying to work out how you fit their jigsaw puzzle together. I'm still not convinced that they have an inside centre there. Personally, I'd love to see Bryce Hegarty at 10 with James O'Connor at 12, but I think that's unlikely. I think Hegarty will probably stay on the bench and be the utility back to come on late in the game as well.
Yeah, I don't see it changing. I think this is what they like. This is the best back line.
I've got one good one for you, mate. I think Jordan Petaia might be very close to a run as well.
No, don't tease me like that, mate.
Very close to a run.
What was I did read an article in the paper, all this talk about Joseph Suwali. I'm not sure how I say his name. They were talking about league trying to poach Jordan Petaia back with the contract. Just so much nonsense. But it was like,
story.
I mean, he's signed till 2022.
Yeah, he's not going. But anyway, Jordy Petaia, mate, you've read it here first. If he's not playing this week, it'll be next.
So you're saying I should pick him up this week and play down a man against you?
100%. But he'll probably be playing this week, and mate, you're at the top of the table. You're not getting him.
True. All right. So how do we see this game panning out? Put a name on it. Who are you going to say is going to win?
Brumbies in Canberra. It's a long trip for Queensland. I think they're doing day trips at the moment, so I think that will knock them around to fly in that day as well.
They don't like the cold.
And the freezing cold. I'm going to say by probably 12 points. I think they'll be too good.
I'm going to be controversial and pick also the Brumbies. No, okay, it's not controversial, but I just think they'll be too good at home. But very good. All right, and the last game of the round, the Highlanders versus the Blues under the roof. How good?
Good.
In the zoo. Going to be very good. And the big news, could we see a possible Dan Carter on the bench? I mean, since Aotearoa Black's career is now all but over, you may as well just drop him completely and stick Dan Carter on the bench.
Surely Milner Scudder as well, mate. Just roll out all the old boys.
That's it. You know what I mean? And just bring Ben Smith back from Japan as well. Just, how good would the Highlanders be if they had Ben Smith as well? Ben Smith and Milner Scudder. Damn. So, yeah, DC...
I mean, like in a holo as well while we're there. If we're just, asking for anyone to come back for them.
That's it. And Fekitoa. Let's get them all back. Yes, so returning Dan Carter, calf strain, held him out. He was supposed to possibly get on the bench a week or two ago. Who knows with him? I guess it's not really a priority, but we'll see. James Parsons, however, Kurt Eklund has been really good, but Chiba is definitely a priority, so he might be returning from concussion. And he's a very big leadership figure for them and just rock solid in all the set piece. Eklund had certainly been a bit hit and miss with his line-out throwing last week. Yes, anyway, under the roof, fantasy points galore in this game. Doesn't matter which New Zealand teams are playing. When it's under the roof, it rains points every time. So, Highlanders, I think the story of this really simply is the Highlanders will be hoping to get off to a much better start than they did against the Chiefs because they really had to fight back into it. And I think the Highlanders, very similar to the Crusaders, those are the two of the biggest 80-minute teams, if not only in the competition, in world rugby. You know what I mean? Two teams that are notorious for seizing a game at the very end, but just absolutely staying in it. So, whereas on the contrary, the Blues historically are not at all an 80-minute team. They've been getting better this year, and certainly last week, their defence right until the end was, putting some points in their corner. But no, the Blues will certainly be wanting to get off to a good start, put some points on the board, and try to get ahead on this one. Yes.
Okay. I'll need to.
And so, look, we said Big Carl demanding a start. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. He was just fantastic, the difference that he made. I particularly hope he does because that will make Harry go down a man. But Alex Hodgman has also been very good, mainly just around the park, makes a lot of tackles and whatnot. Josh Goodhue, do we see him back into starting? I thought Gerard Kelly-Tuerde was pretty good, actually. I thought he had a good game.
Blinder.
Yeah, exactly. Made some good runs and just really seized his opportunity. So I thought he was good, but who knows? It's literally Patrick Tuipulotu and then insert lock here. The back row, I've already shut on Blake Gibson. I don't think we don't have Hoskins Tutu back. So
they said knee injury, but they really haven't given an idea of when he's going to be back. Originally, it was a minor knee injury. Now he's missed 2 weeks, and the coach said when he's back to fitness over the post-game interview last week. So who the hell knows now?
Well, yes. So I mean, I would suggest if we don't have Satutu, we'll probably see the same back row run out again. The only other guy was Aaron Carroll or putting in Tony Lambourne for Blake Gibson, but I don't suspect we'll see a change if there's no Satutu. We got really revved up for the first Blues Highlanders game because it was Satutu and Akira taking on Frizzell and Mikaeli Tu, and that was a hell of a matchup, and they really went at each other. So will the Blues lament not having Satutu? Will they not have the equal force needed to take this game?
Like we said, mate, offer and Patrick Tuipulotu's physicality will put them in decent stead, I would say.
That's true. Now, look, they're probably not too short on the physicality. But speaking of physicality and just playing out of their skin, Shannon Frizzell, mate, how bloody good has he been? I know we keep saying it week in, week out. I particularly keep saying it because he's in my fantasy team. But, Jesus, it's like...
Actually, I really need to rest.
It's like he's realised that everyone else is going for the 8 jersey, and if he just plays well, the All Blacks 6 jersey is his. It's like he's realised.
Well, he's had long enough to work it out, to be honest with you. It's been his for 2 years if he could take it. Just all he had to do was grab it with both hands, and he's been hanging around not doing it. So, yeah, awesome to see him playing well.
That's it. Now, quickly through some positions. So the Blues, Barrett, obviously, he's going to play 10 again. Matt Duffy, 15 again. TJ Fa'ani, I thought he did enough to stay at 12. And I think we've all said, I mean, he's so much better than Harry Plummer. I'm not sure what the real idea was behind having Plummer come in at 12, but
who knows?
Yeah, maybe they're going for some type of second playmaker. But anyway, for the Highlanders, some personnel changes that could occur. The standard front row rotation. So Coltman, Dan Leonard-Brown could go back in the starting side. They seem to just rotate the whole front row almost week in, week out. Josh Ioane, the big question we've had every week. Will we see him at 10? Mitch Hunt has been absolutely playing the house down, so it'd be tough to usurp him, but could happen. And if that does happen, do we see Mitch Hunt go to 15? Do we see Hunt go to the bench? Could we see Hunt at 10 and Ioane in the 12 jersey? Harry, what do you think we'll see most likely?
Look, I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'd be pretty confident in saying that Josh Ioane won't play 12. After they did their review from the break, and one of their big takeaway that they mentioned was that Josh Ioane was not working at 12 and that experiment was over. So I think most likely you see those two at 10 and 15, especially considering they're lacking some outside back depth at the moment.
Are you saying they won't make it the mistake that every Australian team makes and just saying, well, we just need them both on the park, so wherever will suit?
Kind of. Make me chance on a 15, but I expect him to play there.
Fair enough. And look, I mean, if Tompkinson can always push out to the wing. I think otherwise it'd be Collins, Mackay. The only obvious thing that needs to happen is Nareki needs to be back starting. Scott Gregory, see champ. Nareki's just lightning, so he needs to be out there.
My curveball for you, mate, was Tavita Nabora played club rugby for the first time last weekend on his comeback trail. And they've said that he'll be back late in Super Rugby Aotearoa. Could be this week. They need a winger. They all suck.
Could be. And they really do see him as their solution to their right wing, that they really want that big body. He is, 6'4", 6'5", 100 and something kilos, but still lightning quick, knows how to karate kick someone in the face. He's your man. So could be interesting. I mean, and obviously Nehem Milner-Skudder, I think, we can just throw his name out every week, but I never expect to see him play actual footy. I think he's just there for the morale. But how do you see this game going? Who's going to take the bacon?
This is a hard one, to be honest. I'm going to... My head says the Blues, but my heart says the Highlanders. I think the Highlanders need their breakthrough. They need to find a way to get a couple of wins. And I know they made that breakthrough against the Chiefs, but let's be honest, the Chiefs are the easy beats. They're the force of the Super Rugby Aotearoa, aren't they? So I'm going to say Highlanders. Why not? Go the upset.
All right, I'm going to stick with the Blues. I just think
1 point.
1 point? 1 point. No, I think the Blues will get it done. I think they'll come out firing. Bowden at 10 just looked unreal. And I think, if anything, is going to get better this week.
But I think the biggest thing is it's a good matchup for the Highlanders because the Blues have been winning games on the back of their physicality, and the Highlanders have got a big physical forward pack and a great line out.
It's going to make some good watching. Absolutely.
Absolutely.